Audio test one for the meeting stream. Audio test two for the meeting stream.
Good morning, everyone. We're just waiting on the mayor who's finishing up an event, so we're going to be starting probably a couple minutes late, just FYI.
Audio test.
I can hear you.
Bonjour tout le monde. We're going to start in 1 minute. Merci. Bonjour tout le monde. Good morning, everyone. As we begin our meeting today, and on behalf of Ottawa City Council, I wish to acknowledge that Ottawa is built on unceded Anishinaabe Algonquin territory. The peoples of the Anishinaabe Algonquin Nation have lived on this territory for millennia. Their culture and presence have nurtured and continue to nurture this land. The City of Ottawa honors the peoples and land of the Anishinaabe Algonquin Nation and honors all First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples and their valuable past and present contributions to this land. I'll ask the committee coordinator now to do a roll call, please.
Councillor Lulaf.
Good morning.
Councillor Dudas.
Present.
Councillor Curry.
Here.
Councillor Gower.
Here.
Councillor Tierney.
Present.
Councillor King.
Here.
Councillor Leeper.
Here.
Councillor Brockington. Councillor Menard. Councillor Brown.
Here.
Vice Chair Kitts.
Here.
Mayor Sutcliffe.
Here.
You have quorum, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Merci. Are there any declarations of interest? Confirmation of minutes from the meeting of June 3rd. Those carried?
Carried.
Okay. Regarding 4.1, the acquisition of property for Barrhaven Civic Complex, we have a presentation on that. 4.2, we have some delegations. So we could move to 4.3, which is the property acquisition for Realign Greenbank Road Park and Ride. Is that carried?
Carried.
Carried.
Okay. So we can go back to item 4.1 then, which is the acquisition of property for the Barrhaven Civic Complex. And we have a staff presentation. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. I think I have a PowerPoint presentation coming up. Thank you. This report is for the acquisition of property for the Barrhaven Civic Complex. Next slide, please. Staff's recommending approval of this acquisition along with a budget authority and delegated authority to purchase lands for the future Barrhaven Civic Complex from South Nepean Development Corporation for just over $10 million plus taxes and closing costs. The subject property, which is shown on the screen as parcel 1, is just over 4 acres in size, is located at the future northwest corner of Chapman Mills and Riocan Avenue. It's currently zoned DR, but it's been identified in the OP for many years as a future civic center site. And I'll note the small corner in the southeast section we will also be acquiring through parkland dedication. Next slide, please. Oh, next slide. Thank you. So conceptually, staff's been working on a design for the civic complex. As I mentioned, it's just over 4 acres in size and included, oh, I don't see that slide anymore. Included in the future design will be a 15,000 square feet for a cultural center with performance and event space, a seniors center, a district library branch, a councillor ward office, as well as open space. And this again is still conceptual in nature, but conceptually we think the site can support this. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. And I'll just note that Councillor Hill is with us remotely today, and I think we're both pleased to see progress being made here and looking forward to the success of this project. Councillor Hill, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, if I could, Mr. Mayor, I just want to acknowledge, substantive amount of work really over the last 7-10 years on this particular program, starting with my predecessor, Jan Harder and Lisa McLeod, Chandra area. And that torch really being carried, at the grassroots by the Barrhaven Seniors Council, led by Don Winchester, who just recently moved out to Halifax and handed that over to Louise Chenier Delonzo, working with Phil Dines. A lot of really good people that have had a lot of good ideas in order to address the issue of capacity for community events. Certainly for me, over the last 3 years, I've had a great opportunity to join so many of my different cultural organizations in Barrhaven to celebrate events, but they've been at the Greeley Community Center, at the Ron Colba Center, at Centerpoint and such. And so something like this out in Barrhaven really is needed. It's going to be a fantastic opportunity. And our Ruthie Dickinson Library, which is an amazing facility in Barrhaven, has been operating well beyond its capacity for a number of years. So I think this is going to align a number of the different amenity requirements that we need out here in Barrhaven. I'm certainly very excited to work with Wendy, with her team, and all in order to push this forward. So thank you very much for the report today, staff, and thanks to all that have been involved in operating on this file. And I'm just super pumped to see it go forward.
Great. Thank you, Councillor Hill. Is that carried? Thank you. Moving to item 4.2, which is a declaration of surplus and authority to transfer for 172 O'Connor Street. We do have a couple of delegations. First is our Mike and Lorena Imeson, who are online, I believe.
Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Council. And thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Lorena Imeson, and this is my husband, Michael Imeson. Together, we own 2 rooming houses in Centertown, one of which is located directly beside 172 O'Connor. And both of these offer together 31 private rental rooms. We're here today because we've signed a letter of intent to purchase 172 O'Connor Street, and we hope you'll endorse a sole source sale. I appreciate that consideration and wanted to introduce yourselves in person, and virtually.
We're not developers. We're hands-on housing providers focused on safe, well-managed, and community-oriented rooming houses. They're especially designed for women, for newcomers, and early career professionals who they're often priced out of the market. Our model prioritizes dignity, safety, and stability. Each home has a live-in house manager, weekly cleaning, and renovated rooms, most with private kitchenettes. We've also partnered with Operation Come Home to support youth at risk of homelessness.
So because we've been beside 172 O'Connor for so long, we've seen the ins and outs. We love the building, and we very much would like an opportunity to operate it as a rooming house in the very same way we've been operating our existing rooming houses. And our model is pretty straightforward in that if we have kids, and we basically renovate them to a standard that we'd let them live in these rooming houses. And so we're appreciative of the opportunity for you to consider a sole source sale. And we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you both. I don't see any questions, but thank you for the presentation. Good luck. We will move next to Linda Hode, who is in person. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, members of committee. I want to clarify that I'm speaking in my personal capacity, not on behalf of any organizations that you may have heard me speak about on other occasions. I am wearing my affordable housing hat, gained through working with the Dalhousie Nonprofit Housing Corporation in the late 1970s, and more recently, as a member of the board of Ottawa Community Housing. I've not submitted these comments in writing due to time constraints, but I can provide a copy to the committee coordinator if needed. I also want to thank housing staff who've provided me with additional information about this item at the request of Councillor Leeper's staff. This is certainly a complex issue. My concerns about this report are twofold: process and value for money. Process, sole source disposal. While I understand and support the use of city-owned properties to facilitate the creation of affordable housing, I'm puzzled by the consultation process as described in the report before you. Staff consulted the city's homelessness programs and shelters unit, city's affordable housing program staff, who confirmed this site was not desired for an affordable housing development based on evaluation criteria used to identify city-owned sites that should be prioritized for affordable housing by nonprofit housing providers. This evaluation determined that this property should not be prioritized as the site involves complexity and risk given the age and layout of the existing building. The condition of this building may well be an impediment to redevelopment by a nonprofit housing provider, but this process means that none of the numerous nonprofit housing providers in this city have been given an opportunity to even consider the acquisition of this property. Off the top of my head, I can think of Options Housing, Ottawa Salis, and Daybreak Housing who might want to consider this site. Recently announced federal funding for housing should increase the amount and speed of delivery of affordable housing by nonprofits. Some of this new federal housing money could mitigate the potential risk of taking on this property for a nonprofit provider. Perhaps it is time to reevaluate the evaluation criteria presently in use. Secondly, the question of value for money. While the information about the plans of the prospective buyers is encouraging, and I do understand that there is a need for rooming house units in the city, I question whether the city's maximizing the potential for affordable housing using this sole source disposal method. I note that the sale agreement requires the buyers to maintain the intended use for 10 years. After this, they are at liberty to develop the property as per city policies. A nonprofit provider would maintain the affordable units forever. In this case, it may be of interest that a nonprofit owner of this designated heritage building would be eligible for a cost-sharing agreement grant of up to 75% of costs to a maximum of $75,000 for conservation through larger scale projects. The proposed owner, not a nonprofit, would be eligible only for a matching grant of up to $35,000 for restoration work, which is clearly needed if you have looked at the building. The desire of Realty Initiatives and Development to profit from the sale of this building for $700,000, even if 25% of the net proceeds will go to the Affordable Housing Fund and 25% to the Parkland account of Ward 14, I hope, could prevent a permanent addition to the affordable housing stock. I'm not in a position to evaluate the dollar value of this outcome, but I suspect that it is not a negligible amount. Given the cost of the deferred maintenance on this city-owned building, it should be possible to transfer the building to a nonprofit provider for a nominal sum, thus making the acquisition more attractive. I submit to you that permanently affordable housing is a better investment for our city and that staff should not remove this possibility by proceeding with the proposed sole source disposal recommended in this report, or for future disposals as well, I would say. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. I don't see any questions, so thank you very much for your presentation. Any comments or questions? Councillor Gower?
Thanks, Chair. I just wanted to ask staff if staff did approach any nonprofit housing providers, or if there's any interest from nonprofit housing providers, just in relation to the comments from the delegation, if staff had any additional context they can share.
Thank you, Mayor, for the question. I'll begin and then turn over to my colleague if he has anything to add. So staff did not directly approach any nonprofit housing providers. Staff have developed criteria to assess dwellings or properties for suitability for affordable housing. In this case, it is a building that requires significant rehabilitation, the order of about $2 million. In addition, in terms of its structural design inside, it's narrow corridors and single bedrooms. And so it wasn't deemed to be suitable for affordable housing, where we tend to look for, at minimum, standalone units with one bedroom or more bedrooms when we're looking to house families. So in applying the criteria, just to summarize, it just wasn't deemed to be a suitable property for that purpose.
Okay, thank you. In terms of the conditions used, for example, using the rental housing geared towards an equity deserving group, how does the city intend to monitor that over the course of the term?
We'll be entering into a buyback agreement with the purchasers. And so they'll be bound to offer it to that specific group. And on an annual basis, we'll be asking for evidence to show their tenant role to make sure that's the case.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Gower. Councillor Leeper.
Thank you very much, Mayor. So to staff, first, I just want to say thank you very much to Ms. Hode for her questions around this. They're important to pose probably each and every time. But I do want to ask staff, is there generally an understanding in the sector of which properties may be coming available? The Cornerstone property has been vacant for some time, I think.
Well, Mr. Mayor, we do have a list of properties that we work through, and Cornerstone was also noted in a service review as a property to dispose of too, for cost savings, obviously. So it leaped to the top of the list to sell, especially with the interest we received from the purchasers.
So there would have been opportunities for the sector to understand that this was a potential sale and to reach out to the city directly.
Mr. Mayor, we did circulate it, internally and to the affordable housing group. And generally the affordable housing group has their ear to the ground in terms of knowing who's looking and what might be appropriate.
Have any groups come forward since this report was published or since the decision was made to express that they would have liked to have had an opportunity to acquire this?
We haven't received any other interest, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Again, thank you very much to Linda for posing those questions, but I'm comfortable that the informal relationships that exist between the city and the sector would have provided lots of lead time for the various different groups that Linda mentioned to understand that this was in the works and to have the opportunity to weigh in. So, Mayor, thank you very much. I'll be supporting this one.
Thank you, Councillor Liebert. Councillor Curry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just following up there. So in terms of the process that Mrs. Hogue outlined, it might not be the best. Would you say that there are any changes you would recommend to the process in terms of what Councillor Leeper is saying is that, so my understanding is OCH knew about this, they looked at it, they did not ask questions about it, they did not indicate they wanted it. Is there anything else that we could have done to make sure that everyone was aware this was a piece of property up for sale?
Mr. Mayor, the disposal policy requires us to market the property. So part of the reason we're here today is because we're asking for a waiver of the disposal policy. So we're asking committee and council to waive the ability to sell it on the open market and instead to sole source. So, and part of that public consultation is happening right now that people would know, and if there was an interest, they could have approached committee to voice their interest if they didn't do so with staff beforehand.
Mayor, I would just add that in addition to what Peter has said, in assessing this property and having deemed that it wasn't suitable for affordable housing, we were looking for the best possible use. And this is a type of housing that is needed and that does offer affordability to individuals who would struggle to access housing otherwise. And so we felt that this was the best use of the site for, given the condition of the building and given the way that it was designed inside of it.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm just was thinking you could demolish it entirely, right, and build something more significant. If I were Ottawa Community Housing, I would look at doing that as opposed to looking at it and trying to renovate it or something. But if we've heard nothing from them, then I guess we've heard nothing from them. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Curry. Councillor Tierney.
Great, thank you. I actually just want to thank staff. We have a housing crisis, and this is probably the next best thing that's actually going to assist in making sure that we keep building towards things while we don't have bags of money from our federal and provincial partners. We're still waiting for a lot of that. Maybe this would be a different scenario. So I just want to thank you for the transparency, bringing this forward. We're not building a thermonuclear reactor on the site, I don't think so. I certainly will be supporting this, and I would be shocked if nobody did. Thanks again.
Thank you, Councillor Tierney. All right, is the item carried?
Carried.
All right, there are no in-camera items. We have a motion of which notice has previously been given from Vice Chair Kitts on the Avalon Vista community. Did you want to say anything about that or no?
It's fairly administrative.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that carried? Thank you. Are there any notices of motion? Any inquiries? Any other business? Motion to adjourn? Carried. Thank you, everyone. Merci beaucoup.